Oh, damn, my girlfriend just saw us. She jumped off. What's the address, sir? It's a World Marriott. Okay. What's going on, sir? I don't know. She was leaning over the side, and I walked inside, and I hear her, and then, God, you got to have what's on now, sir. I don't understand. So you open the door of what?
Okay, let's listen to that one.
Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? This is a surprise.
Yeah.
Right now, just listen. All right.
My wife fell asleep in the bathtub, and I think she's dead. What's the address? 5250 Crescent Alcourt, Monroe, Ohio. Okay, you need to calm down, but I can't understand the address. What was it? 5250 Crescent Alcourt. 5250 Crescent Al in Hamilton Township? Yes, Monroe, Ohio. Now, what's going on? She fell asleep in the bathtub. I think I was downstairs. I just came up here, and she was laying face down in the bathtub. In the water? Yes. How old is she? She's 24.
Pause.
Isn't that horrible?
She's a 911 operator. It's a really good movie.
What's it
Halle
called?
Berry's in, I forget what it's called.
Oh, it's the call.
The Call, yeah. Halle Berry's like a 911 operator, but it's really good.
Okay, well,
Not known for her voice.
all right, well, isn't this tragic? The guy who fell off the top. The guy's wife drowned in the bathtub, fell asleep. You guys are lying. Okay, what really happened was the first guy pushed her off. The second guy drowned her.
Yeah, they didn't sound very convincing.
No, you guys were concerned. You guys thought, oh, how tragic, poor man. But yeah, obviously, poor woman. With,
Sound appropriately panicked.
yeah, all right, let's listen to this one. This guy actually just it's a little different. He witnessed the crime, but he's.
What's going on? The parking lot, the sports editor, Kent, laying on the ground, pool of blood. Looks like he's been shot or something.
Okay, he's on the parking lot behind the Tribune on the KFC side?
Yes.
Who did you see in the area?
I saw two guys in the area.
Were they white or black?
White, I'd say 1920.
What were they wearing?
I don't know. This gal, she saw them. She walked out to smoke a cigarette, saw them duck down behind the car.
Okay.
I looked out and saw them, and I said, what's going on? I knew it was Kent's car, and I said, Kent? And they didn't look up. Nobody did anything. Somebody's been hurt, man.
Okay, so you saw them duck down behind his car?
Yes.
Okay, so that guy was actually telling the truth. Point is, there was this study done where this lieutenant in Ohio took 200 911 calls, where half of the callers involved murder cases. Half of the callers actually did murder. Half of the callers were innocent. They saw someone do it, or they found someone dead, or something like that. And so, I and a colleague, we replicated the study, except we did an automated analysis of transcripts to see if there were differences in the language between Truthtellers and deceivers. And we found that Truthtellers displayed much more negative emotion than deceivers. You know, they had this, they would cuss and swear much more. They'd say words that, demonstrate anxiety. And they used a lot of pronouns that would refer to specific people, including first-person pronouns and third-person pronouns like he, she, I. Whereas deceivers would share the blame by using, plurals for pronouns. We did this, they did that. And it wouldn't be specific of who did what. And they also use words to like wait or hold on if the operator asks them to do something. They're reluctant to help save the victim. So the nice thing about our results is they corroborated the results from this previous study, the manual study. The data sets were different. We got the same results. He manually tagged everything and counted and said, Truthtellers are this way, the sequence is that way. We called this tag, we presented our results, and he was really impressed how similar the results were, even though we made an automated method for analyzing the text. So this study showed me for the validity of the method, thanks that especially in this situation where it's real world, it's high stakes, and raw emotion, that there are definitely linguistic differences between Truthtellers and speech. And of course there's probably vocabulary differences, voice, how they sound, measuring it that way as well. But this was just looking at transcripts. So today's lecture is about text analytics. And yes, and I will relate it to accounting, not things like that. So we already had a great presentation on this, but I'll go into a little more detail. So, what is text analytics? Basically, there's a large amount of text, and if we read it, we could, as humans, we can understand what's being said, but there might be certain patterns in the text that you can never extract, like certain types of words that are said more often, something like that, especially if there are hundreds, thousands, millions of documents. We need a computer to process this text and look for these patterns and perform algorithms that we can never perform. We can't say, for example, when we read, we don't say this, we don't identify every word in a part of speech as we read it, for example, but a computer can do that. So text analytics is very broad. It encompasses a lot of different techniques for looking at text. For example, it started off in earnest in sort of the library of sciences. When you're searching for a document or a book, what are the key words that will retrieve that document or book for you? So document retrieval, information retrieval. That's also part of what Google does, Yahoo, they have search engines. So that's part of text analytics. Information extraction. So if there's a bunch of text and you want to get out all the person's names and their phone numbers, you want to match them together. So that's what information extraction can do. Concept extraction. What are the words that are? What are the important words in the text? What are the important words that define it? What is the sentiment of the text? Is it a positive or negative movie review, for example? Natural language processing has to do with parsing the text, assigning parts of speech tags to each word in the text, clustering and putting documents together that are similar to each other. Classification is kind of this 911 thing. We had transcripts that they were either guilty or not guilty. Classified the transcripts. And then web mining is looking at the content of the web and doing analytics on that content. So, for example, all of the searches that are put into Google's search bar, you can do analytics on those searches. So, let's see, word sensitive disambiguation, where did that come in? So I was going to give you some examples. So word sensitive disambiguation has to do with the computer automatically recognizing the meaning of a word. So, like the word set, what does it mean? So the word net, there's a set means something different in a volleyball match or in mathematics, or in programming, or in collections of things. So many words have more than one meaning. So computers, one of the big challenges is deciding what that specific word means. So I thought you guys might help me with some word sense disambiguation. I have some article headlines. So I'm going to show you a headline, and I want someone to raise their hand and tell me what they think the article is about. Okay? Okay. Jackie, what's this article about?
I think that prostitutes are either appealing to Pope for some sort of pardon or some sort of path of like approval, or that they're trying to get him involved with some sort of social problem.
Okay. So you don't think it means
No.
that? Okay. Kids make nutritious snacks. What's this article about?
Kids are nutritious.
Kids are nutritious. So frying up is a modest proposal. No, no frying. That's not nutritious. That's you gotta bake them and smoke them. Okay, grill. You guys are sick. All right. That's it. What is this? It doesn't make sense. I could see it making sense. Rachel? You took the blame and someone else passed gas? Or there's a gas leak or something? One of the two. Okay. Oh, Jackie got it. What did you say?
It doesn't make sense to me.
Doesn't make sense. Well, that's it. Yeah, so like the general wants weapons, or there's a floating head out there that's looking for a pair of arms.
These are terrible. Did you pick these?
I didn't make these.
Did you pick them up? Yeah.
I mean, I curated the list.
Okay.
Is it the ship at the bottom of the ship is getting clean?
Well, yeah. What else would you think? Yeah, he wants to judge the place. Or he wants to toss the child. The refs are getting uglier. And it's bothering the players.
This is all bad grammar.
It's nothing bad. There's nothing wrong with these.
Complaints growing ugly about NBA referees is the proper way to write it.
Yeah, but when you write a headline, you don't have all that much space.
I just, word order.
Okay. I'm not sure what this was. Okay. How about this one?
7-footed.
Yeah, foot doctors are in the hospital.
Okay, foot doctors are.
Yeah.
What else could it mean?
Or one doctor is
Or several doctors. Okay, well I was thinking, I didn't even think about it that way. The doctor was 7 feet.
Yeah.
I thought it was 7 feet tall.
I
Oh,
thought
okay,
that
that's good. At least probably more. This is referring to a different university. It could mean there's probably, scientists have no brains, or
You can't do research. if you
can't do
don't have a brain.
research because there's no, they don't have enough
Knowledge.
real brains experiment. Okay, so word sense disambiguation is a technique for automatically knowing what these mean. Okay, so spam filters or document classifiers. So in your email, you have a spam filter. How do they know which emails are spam and which emails are legitimate? They use certain keywords in spam.
Context.
So this is someone's spam box. And certain words, like free trial offer, please click not spam, and other phrases. This is the example Google flu. Have you heard of Google flu? I don't know if it's called Google flu, but they're research into tracking flu epidemics by using search queries. Well, they also do other diseases such as dengue in Brazil. So I presented this in Brazil, so I picked this picture. And the blue line represents Google's estimate of dengue cases, dengue fever cases, based on search queries, what people search for in Brazil. So that's the blue line, their estimate. Then the orange or yellow line represents actual data. So you can see how on this chart it shows Google's predicted all the way out to the middle of 2011, and they're waiting to see if their results are verified by the actuals. So it's very impressive. This slide, yeah.
But this could be all for developing countries because if you don't have access to internet, most of you are not going to search for things that may not be correlated.
Sure, this would not work as well if there weren't very many searches, right? Internet searches. Right. But Brazil obviously works for US. So if you want to know what the current flu situation is in your area, you just go to Google and look it up. Okay. So, what do you guys think? This is an open-ended question for you guys. Can you think of any situation where accountants could use these tools? And any patterns in financial statements? So, what sorts of patterns? What types of questions do you be able to answer? Certain things. Okay, so you can look at patterns in the MD&A.
Like the article said, I forget what was it? SPRL, like if it was tagged, then they would be able to use text analytics to identify like the linguistic differences, and it would increase comparability, and then you'll see like you'll be able to better identify like which companies are declining, which ones are actually doing well based on the language used.
Right. So,
Right, that's what it said.
yeah, someone really smart wrote that. Okay. Anyone else have any ideas? Oh, yeah.
Any forensics or fraud examples? Okay. Sort of names or incident reports trying to figure out activities?
Yeah, absolutely. So anywhere there's text. Yeah.
Auditors and looking at disclosures, they could see significant like, keywords that could be related to prior misstatements.
Yeah. So if you know you have a pattern or model of language based on prior misstatements, and you kind of know you have this sort of set of documents that have been identified as misstatements, for example. Then you can build a linguistic model and then compare other documents to that model to see if they're similar. Jack?
In terms of using this on reports, like annual reports, there's a limitation because many hands, many people have like edit and contribute to a document. So, like a characteristic that you might associate with a linguistic characteristic that you might associate with fraud might get edited out or changed by other people who contribute to the document.
Right, so you wouldn't be able to say such and such person uses this type of language in a report like that. And then, but you could still claim that an MD&A sort of represents the attitude of the entire company. Like,
I just mean the natural human constructs, the language constructs that we use that somebody who is hiding a fraud might use get edited out because it's not business language.
right, certainly anyone who tries to deceive in that type of context would be very careful not to leave any clues. But the contention is by some that it's impossible to not leave clues behind, and we'll fight. I mean, maybe. Okay, so I come up with one example, and I'll go into some detail. And this is text analytics and the external audit. So here's a working definition of what goes on in the external audit. So I guess you guys have taken an auditing class. You had to? Did you like it?
Great.
As an undergrad.
I don't want to be on.
All right, so what could be the overlap of text analytics and the external audit? Well, through this overlap, you'd be providing information to the external auditor through the analysis of textual data, such as perhaps you want to assess engagement risk before accepting or renewing the client, right? So if there's something in the text that tells you that these guys are going to go out of business, or these guys are likely to sue us in the future, then maybe we should do some more investigation. Or maybe there's something in some management interviews, something they said. Maybe there's not enough emphasis in their annual report or interim. And so you can try and see how they view how management views internal controls compared to their peers. Kind of said this already. There's something about management integrity. So there's this thing called quarterly calls to analysts, where we always get to hear from the CEO, the CFO. There are things that they're saying that would indicate that they might be hiding something. Okay, so text analytics, we're just looking for red flags that are being raised to help direct our investigation. So, going into a little bit more detail in the external audit. External audit can be divided into stages, for example. So there's pre-engagement activities. So in full, I've sort of addressed some of the ways and some of the data sets that you might look at to answer some questions. For example, if you're evaluating these public data sources, you might be able to answer, what external factors can undermine the business. So as part of client business risk, we're looking at what's going on in the industry, what's going on in the economy, and we can glean all this information from news articles, and do this automatically. Confirm using earnings management techniques. So many techniques which are perfectly okay are also used for earnings management. Are they disproportionately mentioned in annual reports, for example? So these researchers, Lawford and McDonald, have come up with what they call litigious terms that they took from annual reports. And this is a list of terms, and now you can look and see how often they occur to judge a company on how much they're embroiled in litigation. So auditors might want to know how they view if they try to avoid litigation or if they're always in lawsuits. Again, when you're planning the audit, you want to identify risk areas. So if you want to identify, part of that is understanding the business at a deeper level. So using text analytics could absolutely help. So are the news articles positive about the industry or about the company? Does management attitude, based on our analysis of their interviews, does it reflect what's actually going on in the industry? You are conducting interviews throughout the audit, and interviews are a great source of textual information. So you can look at these transcripts and look for the linguistic cues, as we did in the 911 calls, for things that indicate possible fraudulent behavior. There's this new idea called fraud triangle analytics. And let me go straight to that side. So what fraud triangle analytics does is it takes each corner of the fraud triangle and it says, okay, we're going to look at all the emails of a company, for example, and we're going to look for these elements of the fraud triangle to see if someone has a good high fraud score. So what fraud triangle analytics does is it comes up with this P-score, which is their incentive or pressure to commit fraud, by looking for keywords. In this case, meet the deadline, make sales quota, under the gun. All right, so if you're you're typing stuff in your emails and it shows that you're feeling pressure, then you'll have a high P score. You have the opportunity to commit fraud. You look for words like override, write off, recognize revenue, or even a position to commit fraud. If you are, then you'll get a high O score. And then rationalization. It's okay. Yeah, it's not that bad. It sounds reasonable. It's not going to be a big deal. You get a high R score, they find these words. And they come up with the fraud score. So there's a real tool developed by Ernst & Young that they're piloting where they look at emails and come up with fraud scores to see if they can get any additional information. Yeah.
Is this used for executives or for like everyone in the company?
I suppose
I mean, I would
it
assume
depends
it's for
what
management.
emails you can get a hold of.
You access to sample the entire company, or are you just targeting management?
Well, I don't know what Ernst & Young is actually doing. I read their white paper on this. But let's put ourselves in their shoes, right? The best thing is to evaluate all emails. But if you had to only get access to some, you'd start with management. So. Okay. So for compliance testing, you can look at the documentation of internal control procedures and see if they're trying to get a measure if they're adequate. And you can also compare the procedures to different companies. So you can also look at job requirement descriptions and see if they're detailed enough. Do they give enough information, and then how does it compare to peers? Again, in substantive tests of transactions, you can look at the text in the memo field of journal entry, see if there's a possible way of detecting irregularities. nothing here. And under continuous activities, so when you're preparing the working papers developed during the audit, and this can be a way of improving your own audits. So you can look at how the audit has changed year over year within a company. You can look how the audit compares to what you did with other companies. You could actually perhaps come up with measures of the quality of the audit by the audit team. So there are tons of different and emerging types of analysis you can do with text analytics. And so I've prepared this chart to sort of give some guidance on how to devise research designs. So for example, in the first column it says individual. So within subject design for individual, we say we're comparing someone to themselves. That usually means myself over time. So I would measure myself from this year, measure myself from last year. Something I said this year, something I said last year, and then I do the text analytics. Or you could look at one person in their email, and you can get a sense of what type of language they use in emails, and then you can look for anything that deviates from the typical language. And that might be important if you're doing a fraud investigation. It says you also might want to know what the CEO thinks about a company. So in an interview, you can look at their references to the past, present, and future, and see what their tone is. If they're using optimistic words, pessimistic words, and so you can see what their outlook is for the company. So that's within subject design, you're looking at one person. Between subject design, you'd be looking at two people or more, and comparing people to each other. Okay, and you can do the same types of tests in email, tone, or you do the fraud, non-fraud firms, for example. So look at the interviews of CEOs from quarters where they were had to restate their earnings, and that could be like your fraud sample. Then look at CEOs who haven't had retained earnings. You can build linguistic models. So this is the kind of stuff you do in our research. And so here are some data sets you might look at for analyzing the individual. Okay, so it's real similar for a company. You could look at then the whole MD&A and say, this represents the company, not any specific individual. So you can look at the tone of the sentences in the MD&A. You can look at changes in risk disclosures year over year. So this is within the company. You're just looking at the same company over time and looking at how things change. Then in between subject design is looking at how companies compare to each other. So the MD&A of one company versus another company, or MD&A of fraudulent firms versus non-fraudulent. And here's possible data sets. So anything that's an individual, a data set from an individual can be aggregated at the company level using the data set. And then industry is similar to company. So what's interesting is to say the industry is looking at the future this way. You're in this industry, why do you not have the same attitude or language? So, to kind of describe what can be done with text analytics, but how do you do it? First, you select the data that you want to analyze, then you prepare it for analysis, then you do the analysis. So how do you select data? Well, yes, it depends on what your question is, right? So what if your question is, what is management attitude toward the future? What possible data sources can we use to answer that question? Where would management give their attitude? Where would it be on display? MD&A, interviews with management, annual shareholder meeting, anytime you can get a transcript of what management says, you can kind of assess their attitude or assess the tone of what they're saying. Okay, so those might be possible data sources. So, other question: what new risks is the company facing, etc. Yeah.
So this goes all the way down to individuals' emails, right?
Sure. Individual emails.
Why what seems to me to be like these
Now, it doesn't have to be external auditors getting emails. It could be the company getting emails. So, companies do their own projects, internal projects. But you're right. You're not just going to ask the company for their emails and they can't help. I'm not putting your hands in the locker. You have a reason. Internal is in the U.S. The company owns the emails that are used in their server. And they definitely, absolutely have a friend in them.
People, the owner of the companies is I see it as headquarters. Not from your employees' emails. Like that would be invasion of privacy.
But we know from the
I think only for renting, products, we do that. And it's just the person hiring the individual director. Like they suspect fraud, so then you're the owner of the data. They share it.
so I mean some companies have a policy to say we're never going to do it. But legally is that correct?
I can see companies doing it to gain inferences of what's going on. But I can also see it down the road leading to like prosecution and stuff that I don't know how.
Prosecution.
Like it was in your email that you said this is
Oh, yeah,
like,
absolutely.
it's so subjective, like with the terms that we're looking at, how would people hold up, but that's just
Well, I mean, you can use text analytics to identify the emails, and then they speak for themselves.
what I took away from that one call was
What?
if I got myself in trouble somehow, how I need to behave. I mean, companies, people are so different.
I mean, that's the point. People, if you're gonna commit a crime, and you're gonna try and cover it up, that's always the case.
I just feel like this is gonna modify behavior, but then, because it's predictive, or, when they're looking for something, that once the case happens,
So the interesting thing about text analytics is everything changes based on the context. So you can be looking for one thing, for example, the classic example is when someone's lying and we're just talking, me and Kay, and you're going to lie about something. Like tell me a big fat lie. And we're just having a spontaneous conversation. So probably just give me a yes, no, or a really short answer. You won't really elaborate and make the lie more complex, right? But in cases where people are given a lot of time to prepare and come up with a good story, and the data we've looked at, they're more verbose than the Truthtellers. So, the original point was, what you said. What I was thinking was, context changes everything. So one measure might be important here, not important somewhere else. Based on who you're interviewing. Are you interviewing an expert or a novice? Are you, is the document prepared by the whole company or is it prepared by an individual? The language will change drastically if it has different assumptions or different rules for every attitude.
my only feeling is that it should be a tool as part of the holistic approach.
That's right.
It's not maybe I don't say all of it.
I believe that it's for raising red flags, for getting general information as a piece of a puzzle, but you don't make decisions based on this stuff. But certainly with those 911 calls, we use classifying algorithms, and we got based on the language differences, and it's too complex to say how exactly it works. And typically you'll see something like 60% accuracy, 65% accuracy in these document classification. exception detection, and the 911 calls is 90% accurate because the weekly is because it's raw emotion. They didn't really prepare very long or very well for their call. They didn't know what questions to expect from the 911 operator, and so they acted very differently than someone who didn't commit a murder.
There's
Okay.
some clear cut to it. I was sitting back here thinking that they're lying.
Yeah.
They weren't breathing.
Maybe it's too much Law and Order I'm watching
No, Law and Order is very good training.
Very good.
Okay, so how do you prepare data? Well, this is a really short slide. If you're just looking at interviews or transcripts or MD&A or whatever, usually you just put something in raw text. And it's unstructured at this point. Unstructured meaning there's no metadata applied, there's no tags, it's just the text. So whatever you need to do to prepare the data, then you're ready for analysis.
You
Analysis.
mean, you mean plain text in unstructured plain text, but you leave it in its syntax, right? You leave it. You don't jump the words around.
Oh, you don't change the words
Right,
or anything.
word order,
So
right.
when you start, you just start with plain text. Okay, so what would you do next? You want to analyze the data. There's kind of two steps to this. First, you need to select the features you're interested in, the textual features. Then you'll have some kind of data. When you're selecting the textual features, what you're doing is you're putting numbers to the text. Right? Counting how many times the word occurs, how many times the pattern occurs within the text. So you're getting numbers out of the text now, so you can use your sort of traditional algorithms to make inferences, decisions. How do you select features? There's a lot of ways. One way is sort of this dictionary approach. So in this example, these are positive words. These are also provided by these two researchers that I mentioned before who did the litigious words. So these are positive words, right? And these are taken straight out of 10Ks. So experts went and said, okay, these words are generally positive. So innovation, integrity, inventive, optimistic, right? These are pretty good words for them. Are you guys smiling? Okay, so these are good words. Right? These are positive words. So what you can do is you can look at a piece of text and say, how many times do we see a positive word? And that's our score for positive. So that if you have a positivity dictionary, you want to get a positivity score, just count the number of times you see a positive word. Yes?
You account for bad leadership.
Right. Well, so let me go on. So let's just get the positivity score here. Come here. Taking notes? Excellent. So, what's the positivity score of this sentence? What? Lucrative?
Innovative and innovation. Not match or match.
No. Okay, I simplified it. It should be matched. It wasn't a dictionary. What'd you say? What's the answer? 3. Would you explain to everyone how you got that? Wait, I can't hear you. What? Can't hear you. All those words? Which ones? Lucrative? Positive? Innovative. Okay. So you found those 3 words in here? And so you said the answer is 3. Okay, so 3 is a good answer. You could say the answer is 3. Or you could say the answer is, maybe you want the rate of positive words. So you could say 3 divided by the total number of words, or something like that. So 3 is good. So the number of positive words. Okay, Jerfin. How positive is this sentence?
Well, positive scores, what you want.
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so 3. Not clearly what? Not a positive sentence. So this is a limitation of this method, as we were about to point out. But what can we do to help? Context. What do you mean by that?
Not
Not
the word preceding, the adjective.
right. So you can look at words surrounding your positive words to find out if it's in fact a negative word or a neutral word. Another thing you can do is come up with a negativity score. Maybe not is a negative word. That'd be is positive. Anyway. So let's just say not is a negative word. Not. 3, negative 4. So maybe you take the difference and you find out there's actually a negative score of 1 instead of a positive score of 3. Maybe you have an index that combines both together. Something. Okay, so this is one way of selecting features out of text. A dictionary. You might have 100 dictionaries and 100 word lists to get 100 different scores for a piece of text. Yeah.
So we go further, I'm sure you can answer it, but this presentation is not bad. Not bad. Negative words, you got a negative 2 score.
Oh, I know. Not bad.
But that's a positive. I'm giving you a compliment.
Thank you. Well, no, actually, you're just saying it's not bad.
Well, it's not a strong compliment.
It's not be good and not bad at the same time.
For me, it's pretty good.
Yes, I have to know you. Okay. So, yeah. So there could be dictionaries for litigious terms, uncertainty. There's stuff, temporal terms about time. There's first-person pronouns, whatever. You can make whatever up you want. Okay, make it up. Okay. Part of speech tagging. So maybe you're searching for things that have to do with part of speech. Like, you want to know how many nouns there are, how many verbs there are, how many adjectives there are compared to how many nouns there are, something like that. So you can use what's called a part of speech tagger to tag text. Part of speech tagger, one of are based on what are called tree banks. A tree bank is like, say you have a million words from the Wall Street Journal. We have experts go through and say this is a noun, this is a verb, this is an adjective, this is a period, stuff like that. So you have like pre-tagged text, right? So then you can sort of compare your new text to the pre-tagged text and sort of predict what part of speech the new text is. Penn Treebank is the ideal, best tree bank we have for accounting related text because it's based on the Wall Street Journal. It's not based on fiction or regular newspaper articles. So here are the types of tags that you get from Penn Treebank. So there's 36 here, but that's actually a lot fewer than some of the other tree banks out there. So, some you'll recognize like JJ would be an adjective. JJR is a comparative adjective. So what's a comparative adjective?
Better than.
What?
Better than.
Yeah, better. Good is regular. Better is comparative because it, or you can say faster. That's what you're comparing to. Okay. What's a superlative adjective? Oh, what's a superlative adjective? So, good, better, best. Okay. Okay. So that's all right. So you can see you can tag all the parts of speech. So what can you do with this? I mean, who cares how many nouns there are, how many verbs? What sort of information do you get? Right, so you can make scales instead of what? Like number of nouns they use? Is that going to say it?
You know, like how you describe it, good. You know, is it good with the moderate or with it over the...
Oh yeah, so definitely you can look for sort of loaded words, like you're saying.
values into that?
So you might want to know how strong their speech is. You look for those types of adjectives.
That's from the confidence as well.
Confidence. We use that kind of yes. Yes, because actually I'm running some data right now. I'm looking at CEO interviews with this company that has 16,000 interviews. They're like, we're an indicator. And think of that.
Every part of the research.
You have to write also. You can't just make a simple suggestion. Yeah, if you want to be on a research paper, come to my office hours. If you want office hours, get something. Another thing is, maybe you just want to see, it's related to what you said, maybe you want to see how descriptive they are in their speech. Like it's kind of like, if there's lots of adjectives compared to how many nouns there are, they're very descriptive.
How's it useful?
Well, when we were doing deception detection research with other, like, with sort of where someone doesn't have time to prepare live, then we were hypothesizing that they didn't have this very descriptive speech in their lives.
Somebody who's trying to.
We said that someone who's prepared it will have more because they're trying to fool you and use
Yeah, it's definitely possible,
Yeah,
right?
if they're trying to make something sound better,
benefits.
they're just going to use more positive adjectives.
Yeah, so what happened was there was this study where someone was trying to convince someone like that they're trying to convince someone not to take certain gear they would need to survive in the desert. So this was the scenario. It's like take two things to survive in the desert at 20. And then one person was supposed to convince the guy in the experiment to take, a bag of sand and infrared gloves, right? So their emails, in this case, they were lying about being an expert or something like that, and then really long emails on why they need a bag of sand in the desert. But there's been other data sets too where we see this. Yeah.
The research that you're conducting as a research, looking at CEO interviews,
Yeah.
you're looking for a way to make profit on the companies, or just the performance after the interview?
No, we'll go there, right? We want to look at company performance based on the type of interview that a CEO gets. Right now, we're just looking at doing a really simple, since we just got an analysis, a really simple study where we're just looking at what a CEO in certain companies, based on company size, what they differ in their salesmanship, basically. So we measure salesmanship on types of what they use, type of stuff. And specifically, when they're looking for the future.
If you ever do come across something like substantial, don't forget to share with us with all your image.
Oh yeah, all the accounting research, there's tons of studies where they try to say, we're able to predict the stock market price, better than the market did if you look back in the past few years. With our advantage.
You gotta find something. Nobody's ever done something like this until the last 10 years or so.
So, okay, I'll definitely let you know. But don't expect anything. Okay, so this is another way of selecting features from text. This is kind of small. Can you read this in the back, maybe? So the last technique I want to talk about is called regular expression. This is a highly technical way of extracting information from text. And it has to do with matching patterns in text. And then what you can do is count how many times the pattern appears. Now, what's a pattern in text? The pattern can be very simple. It could be like looking for the letter A. That's your pattern. So, however many times A appears is how many times you count. But there are more complex patterns, like 3 numbers, a dash, and and then 4 numbers. What would that pattern match? Phone number. Or some letters, and an at symbol, some letters, a period, and then 3 more letters. Yeah, so that's you need them. So that's what regular expressions do. They match patterns of text. So they're used, for example, IBM used them to find person's names. So they look for a name, they have patterns for names, so maybe they have use a dictionary to find names, because there's only like 100,000 possible names, for example, in the English language. So they just have to list all the names. They find the name, and then they look within 30 characters of that name for a phone number, and they extract the list of names and phone numbers. They use regular expressions for the phone number part, if not for the name part. So let's go through this. So in this case, in A, this is my expression, regular expression, A. And it matches an A, right?
Is it case sensitive?
Yes. Yeah, it's case sensitive. AB matches AB. Now, Colette, what would ABC match? Why do you think that? You think that because you're smart, and you're right. ABC would match ABC. Okay, so this is after this it gets more complicated. A star. Star is like a special character. It matches. Star means 0 or many. So a star matches nothing, or it matches 1A, or an infinite number of A's. So you see how powerful already regular expressions are. A plus matches 1A or many A's. So it has to be at least 1. So plus is different from a star because it has to be 1 or many instead of 0 or many. So A plus matches A, but not empty space.
Is this slideshow on the blackboard?
I'll put it on blackboard. AB, I put it in parentheses. Those parentheses means the star applies to the A and B together. So that should be together. So AB star means 0, it means nothing, or means AB once, or AB twice, or AB infinity times. But it wouldn't match ABA because it only matches AB. AB means nothing. A period matches A. So one period matches 1A, 1 4, 1 number sign, 1% sign, 1 capital A, 1 capital B. What would you think period star matches? That? Henry.
I think that would be multiple letters or numbers or any kind of card.
Basically match anything, right? Star or dot star. When I was young, maybe 9 or 10 years old, my dad bought our first IBM PC, IBM compatible PC. So it was 386 EX, 33 megahertz. Now it's called gigahertz. Anyway, so I was playing around with it. We just had, didn't have Windows, we had MS-DOS. So I was reading our book on DOS and sorting the commands. And I put delete star PL star dot star. And I was in the root directory, so I didn't see that. So it deleted every file in that directory, but not the directories themselves, not subdirectories, but just the files in there. And in that directory, you had the files that needed to run, object.bat file, config.sys file. So after I did that, and started the computer, I did that, and the computer was starting. So I thought I was in big trouble, because this computer cost $1,700. And back then, what's that now? $2,500. I don't know. I thought I'd broken the computer. 35. Anyway, so my dad just popped in the boot disk, so it ran off the floppy drive, and the computer was back to normal. Put the files back on it. Everything was good. It had memory size of 88 megabytes. So if I wanted to play King's Quest, I mean that's 10 megabytes. I had to be very careful what I put on that thing. One time I recorded an audio file just in the microphone app. They didn't call it app. And I used up all the memory. Like 1 minute. So I was worried then that I just deleted the file. Okay. So what was I saying? The dot means anything. Well, let me finish this slide. Okay, so pay attention, then we'll go to lunch. Another thing, the reason I'm showing you this, because after lunch, after I finish the presentation, we're going to do a regular expression exercise on paper. Okay, so a /W like this matches letters and numbers. Okay, so one /W matches 1A, 1B, 1B, and also one capital A, one capital B, one capital B. They're not like other characters, just letters and numbers. All right. So let's match an email address. /W plus means what? /W plus means one or more letters and numbers. Okay. So /W plus. Then an @ sign. Then /W plus again. Then we want to match a dot, but we can't just use a dot, because that matches everything. So we use, it's called escaping the character. We have to do a /dot, which is the name of like a popular website, /dot. So a /dot matches just a dot and a comma. So this will match this email address. So let's go through /W plus, which is like one or more letters and numbers. So that matches the came off. Then the @ matches the @ here. Then another /W plus email. Then a dot, and then a comma. So, Amanda, why doesn't this email address work? Because of this dot. There's nothing that matches that dot.
Will it still pull out moth@email.com? It's not the K dot?
Oh, yes. Actually, it would. But what you can do to fix that is there's another special character you can put at the beginning and the end and specify word boundaries. It's a /p.
Then nothing can be attached to it.
Then, right, then it would look at the beginning of a word only, so it wouldn't match the second one. But good point.
These work in SQL?
Yes, there is a function in SQL to do this. It's called rlike. So you say where rlike, then you write the regular expression. So you can use regular expressions in SQL.
So the @ isn't a special character.
No, it's not. It's just an @.
So it would only match an @ then. Right. So any non-special character would just match itself.
Yes, right. Any non-special character just matches itself. Okay. Phone number. I'm not going to go through it. The reason is because I think I needed to change this slide, and I think I made a mistake on it. I can't remember now. So what you can pull out, though, is question mark means whatever regular expression came before it, whatever part of regular expression came before it, has to occur 0 or 1 times. So question mark basically means that part of the pattern is optional. This 3 in curly braces has to occur 3 times. So /B, I don't have B there, but it's like /W. /B is just numbers. So /B3 means 3 numbers. So I think I did do this right. Okay. So what this is saying is, parentheses is a special character for grouping things. For grouping your, like here, an A and a B into one, make them fit together. So I want to match an actual parentheses, so I do a slash parentheses. But I want it to be optional, so I put a question mark after it. And it happens 0 or 1 time. And then I want to see, this part is actually grouped using the parentheses. 3 numbers, followed by an optional parenthesis. An optional dash. This is actually not a very good. I can already see how many mistakes we made. But what it's saying is there's an optional dash, then 3 numbers, the /B is a number 3 times, then a dash, and then 4. So this is just an okay regular expression that will fail many times.
It gets it because of the parentheses optional. There's no parentheses, it's still going to pick up the first 3 digits, even though that's within the code of the optional. It looks like it's grouped right next to the optional. Oh, no, there's a slash.
Yeah, so it gets too complicated unless you sit and think about it, but this actual particular one doesn't allow parentheses. No, there's optional parentheses, yeah.
I was just surprised.
What it's saying is it has to have variant code. The whole thing's not optional. The whole thing's not optional. Just the parentheses are optional. But what I should do is put a parentheses around the whole thing, put another question mark, then the whole area code would be optional.
Why is there slash in front?
The slash for the parentheses
Yeah,
means parentheses is a special character.
yeah.
So we want to match an actual parentheses.
Oh, so it's not a special. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So almost done. Just 2 more examples. So this is a way to match a Visa credit card. So the parent here is saying well, it's not going to interpret because the parent's a funny one. If it occurs within square brackets, so I need to describe square brackets. Okay. So square brackets are like ors. So if you had this AB, for example, in square bracket, it would be A or B. If you have ranges though, like 0 to 9, it means 0 or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. 12 times. I guess this, I can't remember if this means not a 4 or it has to start, but it means not a 4. Not a 4. Can't start with a 4. It can start with anything else. I'm not sure.
It has to start with a 4.
It has to start with a 4. Why don't you just put a 4 then? Okay, you know this?
Yeah, Visa.
Oh, your Visa starts with a 4.
All visas
All
are
of them, yeah.
So that means it has to start with a 4.
Well, I knew that. You know, I have a visa too, and it starts with 4. Alright, hold on, let me check. Yeah, it starts with 4. Okay, who has an American Express? You do? On you? Alright, let's see if it starts with 3. Do you have a black card? No. Okay, does yours start with 3? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they all start with 3.
Okay, so when we get back, we're going to do a few more slides on text analytics.